They said, I can do what I please. You'll never succeed. You're too young. You got no money. You don't have enough followers. Are you crazy? Yeah, I heard all of it.
Yeah. They tried to box me and early told me stay in my lane, repeat grade suspensions, punished for thinking my way, pull your socks up, head down, don't question the line, but I never fit the system, I was busy redesigning mine, we think different, 1% wired, rules with suggestions, not limits, just fuel for the fire, told to behave to conform, to keep quiet and play small, but we weren't built for permission, we were built to build it all.
They said I can, I said I will, just watch me.
This is Monday Night Live, we're going legendary. We ain't built to be ordinary. Catch me live on LinkedIn and YouTube, dropping value for you and you and you and you. Together let's make it, together let's move. This is Monday Night Live, we don't follow trends, we set them, we don't wait for luck, we weaponize momentum. I didn't fit in a school, didn't fit in the room, didn't fit the mold, so I built something new. Now clients change lives, businesses transform, almost $1 billion built from strategies born, leads coming daily, deals getting closed, systems at scale while you're still chasing hope. This ain't hustle porn, this is structure and truth, real relationships beat algorithms and views, likes don't pay bills, let's say it louder, relationships do, that's real power. Most businesses chasing flings, one night stands, we're building families, trust, long-term plans. If you know the difference, you're my type of people.
I still face pressure, I still face doubt. Every damn day I figure it out, but I was built for this weight, built for this fight. This isn't luck, it's decades and nights. Nathaniel Bibby, name holds weight. Bibby Media Group, yeah, that's legacy in the making. 25 years in the game, scars and receipts. Thailand, Hong Kong, worldwide, learn how business really beats. Sales is human, marketing's trust. No shortcuts here, just skill time and us. Let's get down to business.
Drop it in the comments. Monday Night Live, this is Monday Night Live. Show up weekly, change your story. Come for the tactics, stay for the identity. This is Monday Night Live. 1 year from now, you won't recognize your business. Different thinking, different standards, different results. We ain't built to be ordinary, we're built to be undeniable. And you motherfuckers can't stop me. Drop it in the comments. Pull up live, let's build something real. Monday Night Live, Monday Night Live. This is Monday Night Live. Show up weekly, change your story. Come for the tactics, stay for the identity. This is Monday Night Live. 1 year from now you won't recognize your business. Different thinking, different standards, different results. To be ordinary, we ain't built to be ordinary. We ain't built to be ordinary.
What's cracking? Hope that intro got you as pumped as it did me. Drop in the comments, say what's up. Who we got on the live tonight? Storm Dawson in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Representing Perth. Hey, Fatima, how are you? Welcome. Good to see you here, guys. We are covering my favorite topic. See my t-shirt, likes don't pay the bills. We're covering sales. It's something that's not talked about enough in social media, is it? Because it's pretty easy to tell people that you get followers and you get views and you get likes and therefore you've done a good job. It's not how it works. It's got to be an ecosystem. So today we're going to talk about social selling. As usual with Monday Night Live, I want to make this as valuable for you as possible. So as we go, drop in the comments, write some questions, and network with other people that are here, right? So I'm going to cover also like the biggest trends for 2026 when it comes to sales. A lot of people miss this. This isn't just like basic sales generic content. Like I'm actually giving you strategies which hopefully you haven't thought of, something a bit creative, and where you can get the latest trends and insights so that when you do share content with your audience or you are speaking to a sales prospects, you're up to date on the latest stuff. Okay. So the uncomfortable truth about business to business right now is you're not competing on price. Like the game's changed. You're competing on trust, right? So the market is full of smart people doing predictable things. You know, they post updates. Like social media has pretty much become the mainstream of marketing, right? They're sharing quotes. They're doing generic connection requests. Most people are playing it safe. Most businesses, especially when you get to that enterprise level, you know, they're generally confused when nothing actually translates into sales. Meanwhile, buyers, they're making decisions very differently, aren't they? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when you're buying a new computer or you're buying a car, like a big portion of that decision is done in silence, right? They're researching you. They're comparing you, deciding if you're safe, competent, credible, before you even get the chance to have a conversation with them, before you even speak to them, right? So most people lose deals that they didn't even know that they lost, right? Think about it for a second. Have you ever Googled somebody's name before a meeting and for whatever reason, you didn't like what you saw in the search results, and so therefore you never follow through with the meeting? That person doesn't even get the feedback, right? And so they don't even know to address the issue. There's a lot of deals that people are missing. I think most of the deals that they're missing, they don't even know about. So they might think, oh, the market's quiet, or we don't have enough leads. That's the biggest thing I get from people who make inquiries with us. We don't have enough leads. It might not be a lead generation problem. It might be a reputation problem, like an online digital reputation problem, right? Personal branding problem. Most people lose deals they don't even know they were in. And it's not because they're not good at what they do. Like you could be exceptional at what you do, but if nobody knows about it, it doesn't matter. Because you've got to be positioned to be seen, right? That's the game that we're playing tonight. And you might think, oh, you know, it's just about positioning and branding. It's not. This is how you do sales. You have to get that part right. Social selling isn't just posting content. And it's not just sending DMs either, because I'll tell you about, like, you have to send DMs, but that's not everything. It's the ability to create that trust with people you haven't met yet, and the right people. Okay. And then you've got to be able to scale it, because you can't do everything yourself, right? So when timing hits, you're the obvious choice. And if you think this is optional, that you've got a referral-based business and you don't need to worry about your digital reputation, or you're old school and you go around and seeing people face-to-face, that's fair. But while you're thinking that, what your competitors are doing, they're introducing themselves to the same people in your market every single day, okay? And they're doing it at scale by using digital technology. Tonight, we're covering 14 major social media trends. They're happening right now. This is 2026 data, okay? So when you actually understand them and apply them properly to social media or LinkedIn or B2B selling, you actually stop chasing people. It's still work, you still have to do work, but you start getting chosen, if that makes sense. Hey, welcome if you just joined. Sawadee Cup, Scott Eddie. Sabadi my cup is in Grung Thep up in Bangkok. Mate, I would love to be up there. I've been meaning to get to Thailand. Hey guys, how are you? We've got pretty good turnout today. We just sent out some messages in the last hour. So yeah, see who pops on during the live. Because, you know, as you know, these are weekly, right? So, you know, we don't always promote them as much as some episodes we promote more than others, is probably the way I should word it. Then you see all these clips like popping off. And I think that this particular episode, from my perspective, is going to be great for these clips, right? Because social selling is something that's related to every single business. Like if you are new here, welcome to Monday Night Live. I mean, we've been going for 4 or 5 years now. I took a 1.5 year break in the middle of that. We started up again the start of last year. So I've been going just over a year now. Every week we do marketing strategies, LinkedIn tips, what's working now, what's moving the needle in business. I'm Nathaniel. I run a company called Bibby Media Group. We've generated $750 million worth of sales for our clients. I mean, that we know about. So it's probably closer to $1 billion, right? That's all from LinkedIn strategies over the last 11 years. I've trained over 40,000 business professionals on LinkedIn. So I'm not telling that to brag to you, but like, when you've trained 40,000 people, you know, you might know a little bit about LinkedIn when you start training people. Once you've done 40,000, you pick up so many different insights from all those different industries, and being able to, and constantly improving your content, thinking, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? And then, the industry is changing so much that all I'm doing every day is I'm looking at what people are doing, people who've got a lot more followers than me sometimes. I'm looking at the mistakes they're making. And that's really where the training comes from. If you did my training 2 years ago, about 30% of what you're doing is actually wrong. Like, not even just like out of date. It's actually wrong because you do it differently. So it's funny, yeah, businesses did training 2 years ago. They really need to do a refresher because things change. So tonight is for anyone in B2B. I mean, if you're in B2C, it works as well, but LinkedIn is going to be better suited for you to find business partners, distributors, that sort of business type relationships. Like if you're selling t-shirts, right, you'd probably not got to sell one, like, to t-shirts directly on LinkedIn. What you might do is you might sign a contract with H&M and they'll distribute t-shirts worldwide, or you might sign a deal with a brand that makes, I don't know, swim shorts, and collaborate with them or whatever, or even get PR and speaking gigs. Like, social media has fundamentally changed how business happens. It's so cool to see LinkedIn like right up the top in terms of like which platforms generate the most sales. The amount of people I've met with in the last 6 months that are like huge on TikTok, like literally getting like millions of views, millions of followers. And you think, geez, they're blowing up. Like they're doing so well and they're posting like 2 or 3 times a day. You think, how on earth do you do that? And I asked them where they get most of their business from. And a lot of them say LinkedIn. And they might have 5,000 followers on there, right? Because just because you've got loads of people following you, watching you do the Macarena, doesn't mean you're going to make any sales. Right. So not to say that like TikTok isn't fantastic for some businesses, but look, if you're in B2B, LinkedIn is something you've got to take really seriously, and this whole like trend that's going on, by the way, on Facebook and TikTok and whatever else about like people using it to shop, right? Using these platforms to shop, like the I don't know what they call it. They call it like the social commerce, right? It's huge. It's taking off big time. I know some founders in the space that are doing incredibly well, some great investment opportunities in that area. But you think that's not going to happen on LinkedIn? Of course it is. Everything that happens on those platforms that works will come to LinkedIn eventually. Can you imagine when you can do transactions in business on LinkedIn? You're gonna wish that you were more targeted with your network, when you could have been, right? When people are actually using it as a storefront, geez. LinkedIn's ground zero, like still, if you're treating LinkedIn like a resume or whatever, like you're not behind. Today, in this day and age, you really need to be taking it seriously, like from a business perspective. If people are looking for, like doing a search on Google, they're likely to find your LinkedIn profile first. If they're not, I would argue your LinkedIn profile is probably not optimized. But because it's got like 100, they have trust scores for websites, or not even trust scores. They call them, the SEO companies give scores to websites based on how credible they are in the eyes of Google, right? So like you might have a score of 12 or 13. A good website might have a score of 40. LinkedIn scores 100 out of 100. That's why it ranks straight to the top for your name if you optimize your profile. So if it's at the top, it's the most likely place that people are going to click, and they're going to end up on your LinkedIn profile if they're Googling your name. If somebody's Googling your name, there's a good chance that they're pretty far down the customer journey. Like if they are already meeting with you, or you've been recommended and they're looking you up, you've got to control what happens at that point, or you won't know that you've lost a sale. Okay. LinkedIn, like what have they got? 1.2 billion members now. Your buyers, your customers, they're here. 1.2, come on, 1.2 billion members. Like in Australia, I think it's 17 million. That's more than the size of the white collar workforce. Okay, because the students and stuff on here as well. Like they're on here. And look, even if your customer down the road, Bill, hasn't signed up yet, there's enough on here for you to be killing it in business and not having to worry about it, getting leads from elsewhere. You've got to integrate it. Like your LinkedIn network is way more valuable than an email database. Way more valuable. Do you know 30% of emails on your database, like if you've got a database of 10,000 people, at the end of the year, 3,000 of those people would have changed their email address. And the same thing happens. So unless you're growing by 30% your database every year, it's actually getting smaller. And most of those emails are ending up in people's junk. On LinkedIn, If somebody changed their email address, doesn't matter. They're still in your network. You can still contact them. What I'm going to ask you is, like, if you've got 1,000 people in your network, or you've got 300, what are you doing with that? Are you leveraging it? Like, are you in touch with these people? Are you constantly showing up and reminding them, like people do in their email marketing? Don't waste the opportunity, guys. If you've got the connections, if you've taken the time to build the connections and they're relatively targeted, even if you've just got all the customers that you've worked with before in your network, you've got visibility over all their connections. What are they? They're people that could be potentially referred to you. What you could do is be proactive and start connecting with them, grow your audience from the nucleus of your existing client base and all of their second degree network. Then it makes it like logical for people to refer business to you. They don't even need to refer business to you. They can see your stuff and you can connect with them. And, you know, they might find out that you've done business with their friend, they might not. But I mean, that's the lowest hanging fruit, is people that are already connected with people that are your clients. Okay. Global digital advertising spends around, what is it? $800 billion. Okay. So social media accounts for 247 billion of that. Isn't that crazy? Scott Eddy will remember, like, 10 years ago, we would walk into businesses' office, like global businesses, and we'd have to convince them to spend $1 on social media. 247 billion. When people talk about marketing now, like, if you think about it, marketing used to be like, people used to automatically think billboards, newspapers, magazines, leaflet drops, TV ads. When people talk about the word marketing, your first thought is digital, social media, content. That's how much the game has changed, right? And it's about, well, it has already changed again. But what I'm saying is, like, if you don't start thinking ahead for the next 10 years, the rate at what things are changing, you're gonna lose incredible amounts of market share. Okay, so sales is the lifeblood of all business. That doesn't change. How do you do sales? You have more conversations. How do you have more conversations? Well, one way is you speak to more people, right? You get on the phone. I mean, it's crazy that people say that's old-fashioned now. Like, how else do you build a relationship? You can't build a relationship like going back and forth on chat with somebody. Well, not one that's going to stand the test of time. Not one that's going to be valuable for you. Not one that people are going to spend millions of dollars with you over the course of their business. You've got to build relationships. You know, you might not have to get on a plane to go see people anymore, but you do have to hop on a video call with them, okay? 88% of marketers are now using AI in their day-to-day work. 88%. That's a lot, man. That's a lot, dude. Like, I'm not saying that, I'm not going to say don't use AI, but think about it, right? If 88% of marketers are using AI in their day-to-day work, how do you think that you could stand out in your content from all those marketers? 88, it's like a 9 out of 10, right? Is you could just be human. You don't have to not use AI. Just don't use it in your content. Or use it to come up with ideas. Use it to make your ideas better. But don't get it to replace what you've written. You've got to have your own voice. Because if everyone else is talking like an AI robot, you're just going to sound the same. If you talk the same and you've got the correct grammar and the same way that they write sentences and everything else. Okay, this is important. If you use AI to replace your humanity, your voice, and even your judgment, you'll scale the one thing people can sense. They can sense right away. It's inauthenticity. Okay, so like we've got to use AI like a power tool, you know, and not a personality replacement. Okay, don't be lazy with it. And quite often, by the way, people use AI because they think it saves them time. The amount of time you spend going back and forth with it, it is actually quicker to do it the human way. Integrate AI, but have a policy how you use it and how you don't use it. All right, I'm going to switch back to the chat and see what's going on in here. See if there's any questions. Oh, thanks for saying that, Storm, and good to see you here as well, Dwayne Morrison. Keep the chat active, guys. Come on, keep the chat active. Who's posted in the last week about what they learned on Monday Night Live last week? Let me know in the comments. And by the way, if you're watching the replay, I will be dropping back in here tomorrow to respond to all the comments as well, okay? So we talk about the 14 trends. I kind of I've got like 20 minutes talking about AI. Okay, let's get into the actual meat of tonight, okay? Because I've got 14 trends written down here, which, I mean, these are the big ones for 2016, and you've got to look at the numbers and you've got to look at the data, because then you'll see where the opportunities are, because you've got to know what to say no to, okay? So let's break them down properly. So trend number one is using AI in prospecting, because a lot of you are going to come across salespeople that are trying to pitch you this stuff, okay? So AI is automating everything, like prospecting, outreach, these agents that just basically run around the internet doing things for you, okay? So in this case, you could be losing to somebody that's faster and more consistent. Most marketers are already using AI daily. So the question is not, should I use AI? It's how do I use it without sounding like a robot? So, with your prospecting, I would suggest getting it right as a human, okay? And then you can look at incorporating agents, but just be careful. It's early days, okay? LinkedIn's user agreement states, do not let robots run your LinkedIn for you. So be careful with that stuff, man. I found it a bit clunky. I experimented with Claude. Claude, you can get the extension and it's supposed to do stuff for you. I keep running into barriers. Maybe somebody in the audience can help me work that out. I don't know if it's conflicting with other extensions, but anyway, I'm not using it anymore because it actually didn't save me any time. So the biggest mistake with AI outreach is that it sounds like AI, right? That's the biggest mistake. Once you get the technology working, it's polite but empty, right? So it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not going to connect with somebody unless it's human. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about getting the sentence structure right. Like, that's not how real people talk. Richard Branson doesn't talk like that. Bill Gates doesn't talk like that. Whatever businessman you respect, Tony Robbins, they don't talk like that, right? So talk like a human, okay? So, and you don't want to be just posting generic stuff off Google. You've got to put your own spin on it. Why do you know that information? If you can answer that question in every post that you do, you'll do much better. Your goal is not to give them the most accurate information. The goal is to build a relationship, okay? You need attention and then you need trust, okay? So people need to pay attention first. Attention's the currency right now, okay? So another AI play that people miss is they use AI to analyze what content your target decision makers are engaging with. So if you use AI to do research and say, hey, this is my target audience, this is my platform, what content is that audience engaging with already? Just replicate it, put your own spin on it. There's nothing original on the internet. I hate saying that, but you've got to believe that, because otherwise you're just going to waste so much time coming up with stuff, right? Yes, have your own frameworks and have your own ideas, but normally that means amalgamating stuff that you get from elsewhere and making it yours, okay? So if you sell marketing automation software, you're targeting CMOs, your chief marketing officers, let's say insurance companies. You notice through LinkedIn that they constantly talk about compliance and data privacy, right? So you create a thoughtful post about balancing marketing innovation with compliance requirements. Then CMOs see it, they engage, they've got opinions on it, they remember you, you've got familiarity, you've created trust without pitching, okay? So that's how you sort of use AI. It automates the legwork, because you don't have time to be researching this stuff all the time. You've got to, get those hacks where you can. Now, number two is the TikTok psychology, okay? TikTok trends are relevant to every social media site because it shows you the trends that people are moving towards, right? LinkedIn positioning. I'm B2B. Why does TikTok matter to me? Because TikTok changed their expectations, not just entertainment, right? It trained professionals, especially younger decision makers, to expect fast value, okay? And high authenticity. On TikTok, authenticity beats production value. A phone video explaining something honestly outperforms polished corporate content. Now, I mention this because LinkedIn and any other social platform is going to become more and more like TikTok, because that's the trend. We've got shorter attention spans, right? So we want stuff quicker and we want it bite-sized. Even if you're not there yet, or your market's not 100% there yet, they're moving that way, because there's so many choices of what we can do with our with the content, what we consume, and it's just going to be more and more. Think about it, with all this AI stuff, we do want to watch long form content, but only when we already trust the person making it. I'll go on YouTube and I'll spend 4 hours watching behind what's called Diary of a CEO. Well, that's a lie. I'm not watching it for 4 hours. I'm asleep for 3.5 hours. But the point is, I don't press play on something that I don't know what it is because I'm not going to invest that much time, right? I know that that's credible. How did I find out about Diary of a CEO? I saw something short and sweet on Instagram, probably, right? And that's where you come across it. So it funnels you into the long form content. So don't dismiss long form content, but the short form content gets them there. If somebody watches long form content, you pretty much eliminate competition. Like whenever I get an inquiry, somebody that's been watching they say, I've been watching your YouTube videos, half the job is done because I know that they already trust me because like, obviously I know what I'm talking about on YouTube. If they didn't think I did, then they probably wouldn't have reached out to me. But if they're watching like hours and hours of content, then half the job's done, right? And that's part of the reason why I do Monday Night Live is because I'm constantly out here talking about marketing, and therefore hopefully if people drop in, then they trust me, and if they're ready to do business, then that's great. So start making videos where you're just explaining something okay? Don't worry about the studio and the setup. It doesn't matter. I've wasted so much time on this sort of stuff. It's taken me years. It's not actually that important. You don't need that artificial thought leader voice. You don't need heavy editing. Even if you're targeting, like I used to think I'm targeting C-suite executives in like Westpac and big corporates, I need to have this fancy editing. Like there's some truth to it, but it doesn't actually matter as much as I thought it did. Like the intro that you see at the start of Monday Night Live, if it was any other type of video, there would not be an intro, right? I actually made a sick intro for when I first started making video content. It was like 30 seconds or something, and it was all these aerials, and like I thought it was amazing. And yeah, you just see like the retention. You get all these views, and then it just drops, right? Because people don't want to watch that. They want to get straight into the meat of it. It's a bit different when you do a live stream because what you're actually doing is you're going live, and then you need to give people time to join the call. And so by having an intro, just give some entertainment as people jump on before we get started. Because otherwise, I'm going to give the intro before half of the audience is there. That makes sense. So everyone's so quick to automate stuff as well. Like if you're a small business, your advantage is that you don't need to automate stuff. You can do it with people, okay? Because that will outperform automation. People don't want automation, okay? People don't want to speak to an AI robot when they're trying to book the chiropractor. They don't want to. Like, so if you have to do that to build, like everyone's like so obsessed with productivity, right? What about customer experience? Have you heard of the doorman principle? So hotels, fancy hotels, they traditionally always had a doorman. Some of them still do. And they thought that they had just hacked like something huge when they came up with the automated door. They're like, we don't need to hire these doormen anymore. We will have an automated door just opens by itself, right? So they started putting them in all these hotels. And what happened? Well, they could charge less per room. They got less bookings. And ultimately, the feedback from the customers was they didn't like it because they thought that the doorman was just opening a door, and he wasn't, was he? Like if kids run out of the hotel, he's stopping them from crossing the road. He's the first person you see when you come to the hotel. Apparently, like even the fact that people are driving past and seeing a doorman there increases the rate that they can charge per night because people see it as classy. So what they should have been doing is giving him a raise, right? So what I'm saying is don't be so focused on efficiency and productivity that you forget about what your customers actually want. Because you can have the automated email and the automated phone call and the customer service AI robot, right? It can be so efficient, and your customers might hate it. And everything that you do has to translate back to return on investment. If you're a small business, don't look at the fact that you have to respond to every inquiry, or you have to make the call, or you have to anything customer focus where you actually have to communicate to your customers. Don't look at it as something that you need to fix and systemize and automate. You don't need the course with all the automated emails. That's your advantage. That's your edge. You should be excited to do it. You should look at it as like, I don't have to do this. I get to do this, because that's the advantage. The big guys, they can't do that. Well, they have a challenge doing that, don't they? Because they have to make it so systemized that it kind of, even if it's just human, it sounds like a robot. And a lot of them can't make decisions. You can make decisions if you're a small business. I think it's a huge advantage. All right, I'm going to go just jump over here, see what's going on in the comments. we have got Christine in the house. How are you, Christine? I think that's why I haven't started my YouTube channel. Too busy worrying about my background. Yeah, that's a common. Man, I've spent ages thinking about it. Don't worry about it. It's not important. It really isn't. What you want to avoid is that how some people like on their Zoom meetings have like that fake background that looks like they're in this really fancy office, and then every now and then they like glitches in front of their face. Just don't do that, because you just want to be real, right? Just keep it simple. Something that doesn't distract away from the content. The most important thing is your microphone. Make sure that the audio is clear. Like your telephone, by the way, has great microphone. Everything on here is fantastic. The phone could do stuff better than most of these things, right? So the audio and then the light. You just want the light coming from behind the camera. Very important. Those two things are way more important than your background, okay? Except TT has a better suggesting algorithm. TikTok. Yep. Well, yes, it does. And do you know what? LinkedIn have a group of engineers, probably hundreds of them. They're sitting around boardrooms every single week, working out how to make LinkedIn's algorithm better. So that's where they're drawing inspiration from. They have in the algorithm now on LinkedIn, there's a big component of it that is AI designed to keep improving the algorithm. So like the engineering is even done by AI now. So it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And I think that we're just going to see better and better content. I do agree with you. I think that, one of the reasons why TikTok's so good is because they're getting more feedback, more regular feedback, because people are watching so many videos, they're scrolling so much that obviously they've got more data. They know what to show people. And I think on LinkedIn, once they get that mobile video feed right, I think we're going to see a big difference in how relevant the information that we served is. But it's not based on who you connected with. Used to be. It's not based on who you connected with. It's based on who you're interacting with and who you're dwell time, who you spend time on, like what content you're actually consuming. Social media, the social part, it's not as relevant as it used to be. Okay, it's kind of just media now, right? It's what you engage on, what you actually engage with. Like follow is a signal to LinkedIn that you might be interested in it. But if you press follow and then you don't actually watch any of their stuff, it knows that you're not interested. So they don't care if you follow it. The number of followers you have is not really relevant. You could have no views and lots of followers if no one's actually watching your stuff. We must move on because I haven't got through my list very far, have I? The I get to mindset is key. I did learn that at Tony Robbins. Thank you, my man. Okay, number 3 is response time. Okay, so 72% of professionals expect immediate service when they reach out to someone. It's a lot. Most people on LinkedIn let messages pile up for days, okay? It's an unfair advantage if you set up systems correctly to respond to people. You don't have to do it immediately because you don't want to come across as needy. There's a balance, okay? Anyone that's spent time on the online dating apps will know you can't come across as needy. If somebody is taking a day to respond to you, take a day, and you just respond immediately, you're going to come across as more needy, right? In any negotiation, and this is true in sales as well, the person that is the most needy kind of most of the time will lose. I mean, you just think about it, right? Like you get that dynamic, and you're in a sales conversation where you're responding immediately, giving them like 3 answers. You can visit my website. You can call me on this number. You can email me if you want. And then if you're more needy and it demonstrates less value to the customer. What you want to do is demonstrate value to the customer. So you don't give them 3 options. You give them 1, okay? Go to my website. Call me. Give me a time to call. This time or this time. You give them very clear directions, because what you're doing when you keep it clear and succinct like that, people don't want options. People don't want options, right? They don't want options. They want somebody who's an expert to guide them through the decision-making process. You got to remember, if somebody has the problem that you solve, they do want to solve it. In other words, they do want to buy, right? They just don't want to be sold to. They don't want someone to just sell to them. So if you come across as needy, you're going to seem like a salesperson. It's counterintuitive, right? Because a lot of people think, I'm so direct. I don't want to be that salesy. It's not salesy. Being direct helps people make decisions. If you give people more options when they're trying to make a decision, it makes it so harder for them. I get very stressed out when I go see an expert and they start giving me all these options and tell me to make the decision on which direction to go. I mean, it just stresses me out. Like, I'm here because you're an expert. You tell me what you recommend. And now, of course, like, I'll take that into consideration to make the decision, but like, don't just fire loads of options at me. Ask clarifying questions. If you don't know which direction to point them in, just ask them questions rather than giving them if you want this, have this. If you want this, have this. You shouldn't be saying, if you want this, you should ask them the question so you know what they want. What's the main challenge you're trying to solve right now? That's a question. Write it down. You have to know these things. You have to know the problem that you're solving, okay? And if they have a problem that you can't solve or is not suited to your business, don't sell to them. Send them down the road or whatever it may be. But you can't, if you're trying to convince people that don't have the problem that you solve to buy the solution to the problem they don't have, you're wasting your time. That's not how you build a business. That's not how you build a brand. That is sleazy selling, okay? So when you get a message, take 30 seconds to look at their profile before you respond, because you need to show people that you've actually paid attention and you need to show people that you've actually listened, okay? I have a habit of like darting off replies and messages very quickly, right? With people I work with, colleagues, business partners. It gets me into trouble a lot. What you need to do, I don't do it on LinkedIn, right? So this is something to keep in mind, is you have to take the time to consider what they've said in the context of who they are and acknowledge that before you say anything back. Show them that you listen to them and not just like you've taken the time and consideration to do that. Even when you're responding to comments on LinkedIn's, in the news feed, the amount of people that like will do a really good post and then they get this comment, right? Which is actually really detailed, really thought out comment. And they're like, oh no, but whether they agree with them or not, or they're just so quick to like engage. They're like, oh, someone's commenting, they want to hear from me, and they just punch out this long response, right? No. Think about what they've just done. They've taken the time to comment on your post, okay? They've taken the time to think about it and say something meaningful. Acknowledge that. It doesn't matter if you agree with them or disagree. You can disagree with them, but acknowledge at least what they've said and the thought they put into it first. Okay, people won't mind if you disagree with them if you do that step first. Okay, you don't want to be confrontational. Okay, now there's more opportunity out there. This is trend number 4. More professionals than ever are using LinkedIn. Okay, like it's not just the amount of people that are on there; it's the amount of people that are active. Okay, so there's a massive pool of potential customers and connections. Yes, but your game is not to reach all of them. You don't want to just be adding connections, accept on the invitations when you log into LinkedIn. The game is to reach the right people, and to reach them consistently. Back in the day when I first started in my marketing career, I was in real estate, and I learned something very interesting when it comes to flyer drops, leaflet drops. Did you know that if you've got 3 buildings with 100 apartments in them each, and you've got a budget to send out 300 flyers, you'd think, okay, that's great. I can get a flyer to every apartment in the 3 buildings, 100 apartments in each building. That's not the most effective way to do it. The most effective way to do it is to just choose one building and send them the same flyer, even if it's the same flyer, it doesn't have to be different, 3 times in a row. Because it's repetition that builds familiarity and consistency, okay? So stop trying to reach everyone. If you've got a network of 1,000 people and you're not in touch with them like every few months, get focused on building a relationship with those people. If they're not the right people, get them out of your network. Get some people that are relevant. Send them connection requests. Show interest in what they do. Your network, you should guard it like I think it's the most valuable thing in your business, to be honest, in your career at least, because if you sell your business, you keep your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you do. It's yours. You want to take it with you. You use LinkedIn's search filters like title, industry, company size, location. Okay. So this is sale. This is where the sales skill comes into it. You've got to have the right network, because LinkedIn will only be as useful as the quality of your network. Oh, Nathaniel, LinkedIn doesn't work. I check it sometimes, but all I get is letters from salespeople trying to sell me stuff. And then sometimes recruiters come and offer me jobs. It's just all spam. LinkedIn's rubbish. I'm going to go over to TikTok, or I'm going to go over to Instagram, or I'm going to spend all this money on, live chat on my website or Facebook or whatever. Do you know what most people do when they spend 15 minutes? If you're going to spend 15 minutes in a week on LinkedIn, what are they going to do? They're going to open LinkedIn, whether it's on the phone or on the computer, and LinkedIn have got all these notifications for them. And they go through and they respond. Oh, look, this guy's interested in connecting with me. This guy's interested in this. They're responding to what other people want. They're being reactive. That's the way LinkedIn's set up, because all of the notifications, are people sending you connect. Who do you think is going to send you connection requests? Like, honestly, guys, the people that are going to most likely going to send you connection requests, especially if you're a director or you're somebody that makes decisions, procurement manager, HR director, marketing manager, there's going to be salespeople, lots of them. So if you press accept, because you think, oh, I'm just going to build my network. Like, I've already got 1,000. I want to get 2,000. You're not doing yourself any favors. All you're going to do is get a lot of sales pitches in your inbox. Most people don't sell like I do on LinkedIn, and me and my clients do. 95% of people sell in a very sleazy way. They don't take the time to read your profile. They don't consider who you are. They're spamming you. You don't want those people in your network. They'll clog up your inbox. If I get one message like that in my inbox and I don't respond, if I get two, they're out of my network. Like, I don't have space in my inbox for that. I'm too busy talking to potential customers. Okay. So you've got to have a targeted list. You don't need a lot. I know people that have 500 connections on LinkedIn that make way more money from LinkedIn than people with 100,000. Okay. So you don't want to message everyone at once, like that's spammy. So you want to engage with their content first. Like, if they're posting content, the chances are most people are not getting a load of engagement, right? Even like the CEO or the managing director of like PwC, Australia, they might get 130 likes because they've got a lot of staff. But how many of those staff are dropping comments? Not many. And if they are, they're pretty safe, aren't they? Because they don't want to lose their job. If you drop a comment every time he posts, he's going to like you, as long as you don't piss him off and try and sell him something in every comment. Don't do that. Okay, so what happens when you comment on somebody's taking the time to create a post? They're like trying to write something that they think will get engagement. And then you show up and you engage on every piece of content with something thoughtful, that's respectful. That gives the person that posted some dopamine, and therefore they're more likely to like you, trust you, and you've brainwashed them into being your friend. And while you're doing this, you're actually not commenting for the person. That's just a byproduct of what you're doing. Who you're commenting for is the audience, right? Because everyone that sees that post in the newsfeed is going to see your comment. Comments will be ranked based on how much dwell time they get. So if you post a good comment, it'll be right at the top. Like, every time I post a comment on, say, Alex Hormozy or Stephen Bartlett or Richard Branson, and it's a thoughtful comment that gets lots of engagement, I'll get like 300, 400 followers from that. A lot more than if I did a really good post myself, just by commenting and writing off the back of somebody else's. So take the time, if you're going to write a comment, to make one for their audience. Everyone comments for the person that wrote the post. Don't do that. Write the comment for everyone beneath the post, and everyone's seeing the post. Write it for their audience. They will appreciate that. That's who they wrote the post for. So if you write, if you add on to it and say, I like what you said, but in my experience, this is also something important, or have you tried this tool? Like, just adding some value to what they've already written, or adding a different perspective. I think that's fantastic. Okay. And you're no longer a stranger at this point. So if you do send them a message, you're familiar. Familiarity, what it does is it reduces risk perception. A lot of it's subconscious, but it reduces risk perception. Because if you contact somebody They're trying to put you in two buckets. Is this person just trying to like get something from me, sell me something, rip me off? You know, we've all had bad experiences online. Or is this somebody that I want in my business network that's actually respectful of people's time, that adds value, that's not trying to get something from me? Because everyone thinks sales is trying to get something. That's not what you're trying to do. If you're a good salesperson, you're a problem solver, okay? You believe in adding value, right? You've seen too many people that didn't become customers go off and invest with somebody else and have a bad experience, that when you get somebody new, you don't want to let them down, right? Because they're going to have to go down the road, and there's a good chance that they're going to spend 6 months, $75,000 and not get anywhere because you didn't actually do your job of helping them make a good decision. That's what a good salesperson looks like, in my opinion. Advertising shifts, okay? Trend number 5. B2B advertising budgets are moving heavily towards LinkedIn. Like, it's huge. It's huge. We're talking about nearly 800 billion in digital advertising, okay? Most of that, at the biggest trend right now, is that it's going to LinkedIn, right? So I think paid ads is something that you got to do, because now that you can sponsor people within your company's post, you find out what performs well, and then you amplify it. And what will happen is people will then come through to your company page and start following you. Now you've got to be doing organic stuff as well, because you've got to keep those followers engaged. Okay, this is a company page strategy. So anyone that's got a business that's got more than 20 people, you need to be managing a company page. Very, very important. That's like the central point of gravity for your team. And your team has got such a wide, they can reach so many people. That's such a huge advantage. Like, if you can weaponize like 100 people in your organization to be active on LinkedIn, you just 100x your business, like 100x the power of LinkedIn. It's incredible. No, like literally, there are no companies like scratching the surface with this. Like, I see one or two that are doing a good job, but a good job's not a great job. Like, they're not really weaponizing LinkedIn at scale. You might have one or two people in your organization that are doing well. The opportunity is huge for a company that's global. If anybody knows anyone at JP Morgan, by the way, I would love an introduction. There's a bottle of Dom Perignon in it for you if you know someone at JP Morgan. I think they'd be fantastic at LinkedIn marketing if they put their mind to it. I can see they're investing a lot of money in it, but they're just spending all their money on fancy videos, right? You have to show up first, 2 to 3 times a week minimum. Useful content, real insights, not we're hiring or we're having Friday drinks. Thanks for helping me reach 1,000 followers. You got to be a thought leader. What are you talking about with other people in your industry or potential customers when you go for a beer, or if you don't drink beer, when you do whatever people don't drink beer do. Okay, I'm trying to be funny here. I laugh at my own jokes, so that's okay. One specific post style that works well: call out a problem you see repeatedly. Like, if you see a mistake or a problem or something that people do wrong, call it out. We see this all the time, right? You don't have to call it out on an individual basis. Make a note of it and then call it out in your content, because what will happen is people relate to the problem or relate to that experience, and then they automatically trust you. If you define a problem that someone's experiencing better than they can, or even at least as good as they can, they will automatically assume you have the solution. Think about it, right? When you go to the doctor, if they don't ask you anything about your symptoms and they just give you a script, do you think that they know what they're doing? Like, I'd be a bit concerned, right? So when they go there and they like ask you these questions, and then they go, okay, so what you're actually experiencing, this, and you're like, yeah, exactly. That's what I've been trying to explain, but you just said it like in such a succinct, direct way. But that's exactly it. You don't have any problems taking a script because you feel like they understand your problem. So take the time to articulate the problem back to the customer, and once you do this enough times, you will already know their problem before you speak to them, which means you can accurately portray it in your content. Most people spend very little time talking about the problem that they solve in their content. You should be spending more time talking about the problem than the solution. You'll notice in all my posts, I'm always like, have you ever noticed that this mistake, or like, I used to think this, and this is what happened as a result. This is the problem, right? This is how it felt. This is the other problems that it causes. I'm making the problem bigger. When I make the problem bigger, what happens? The solution gets more valuable. Okay. LinkedIn's AI tools, trend number 6. AI features are now built into LinkedIn itself. Okay. Most people don't even know they exist. Okay. Like writing assistants, profile optimization features. They're using AI, smarter search, content recommendations. If you're using Sales Navigators, AI all through it. Okay. So AI will help you structure and edit your posts. It's pretty rubbish on LinkedIn, to be honest, at the moment, but it's getting better. And so, you can use it to your advantage. One thing I will just say, like at the moment, because it is, like I say, not that good, you can't just, like if you just hit those suggested replies on LinkedIn messages, just be careful, right? Because like if it looks like a generic reply, then it's going to be taken down that way. You want to try and be as authentic and real as you can. But what will happen is these AI programs will get better and they'll learn how you reply. So you want to make sure you're training it the right stuff. Okay. Identify terms that your target decision makers actually are searching for, right? And then make sure those terms appear naturally on your profile and in your headline. So like if you're, let's say, for example, you're a director of an accounting business. What most people will do is they'll say director XYZ accounting in their headline, right? Now, if you do some research, you'll actually find that people who are looking for an accounting firm don't actually search for accounting. What do they search for? Accountant, right? They search for accountant, not accounting. So you want to make sure that your headline actually says accountant, director and accountant at XYZ accounting, or whatever it may be. The headline is the most important place to have your keywords. If you do that one place, you'll probably show up at the top of the search results. If somebody's in your network and they're searching for an accountant and you're not showing up at the top of the search results, they're already in your network, man. You've got to be showing up at the top. You're giving that spot to somebody else. It's not that hard. Just put it in the word in your headline, put it in your experience, in the title in your experience, and have it somewhere in your about section, and you'll be ranking at the top. Okay. It's not keyword stuffing. Like it's actually just smart, like strategic way to use keywords in your profile. Okay. I'm just going to answer some of these questions over here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Sidra Ashraf. I'm engaging in comments, but how to go with DMs? Same thing. I really want to hammer this home. Like, you got to be respectful of people's time, not just the person you're sending the message to by being succinct and to the point, but also your own time. Okay. Your time is valuable. Okay. Yes, I think that you have conversations with people and I think that you be respectful, but you've got a business to run. Okay. So you keep it short and you guide people on how to get to the next stage. Okay. Because you want to help them. You want to be able to deliver more value. And in order to do that, there has to be an ecosystem. So you can't be having long conversations. You want to take the conversation offline. With the DMs, it's beautiful because it's a private conversation. There's a level of intimacy there that is not there in the public feed with the comments, right? So use that to take the conversation offline, book a Zoom. It only make it 15 minutes. Like people are like, oh, 15 minutes isn't very long. Do you know what? It's a lot longer than you should be writing in your LinkedIn message. A 15-minute conversation with someone is worth a lot more than a LinkedIn conversation in chat. People are hiding behind keyboards. Do not do that. Have real conversations. If the conversations you think that you're having are not valuable enough, like the sales aren't big enough, then you need bigger opportunities, bigger clients. Think about who's the client that would spend more, that would make it worth my while. Okay. Christine, this is gold. Thanks so much for these nuggets. You're welcome. Can I ask what software do you use to DM me about Monday Night Lives? I do not use any automation software for Monday Night Live. I delegate it to human. So I guess it's the same principle in terms of it's systemized, right? Where you can come unstuck when you use automation is LinkedIn's user agreement. So LinkedIn quite often will like flag if you're using certain extensions or certain what are they called? The automation tools. They're called macros, right? So they basically run in your browser and they use your and I'm probably like not the most technical savvy person to be commenting on this because I know a lot of people use AI agents and stuff. But if you're breaking LinkedIn's user agreement, you run the risk of getting your account banned, right? So that's why I tread carefully with that sort of stuff. But LinkedIn is something you can systemize. Like all of the campaigns I'm running for clients, I systemize. We do it for our clients. They don't have time to be sending all these messages, right? And if you have somebody that's sending messages, like account managers, they can send 50 to 100 in an hour. Like 100. A good account manager will send 100 messages in an hour, easy, right? The only customized bit is the first name normally. But that, when I talk about making the messaging customized to the person you're sending it to, how am I able to send like 100 messages with just the first name? Excuse me. It's to do with the targeting, right? So if you use LinkedIn search in a very specific and targeted way, then the people that you're going to be getting your message are all going to meet certain criteria. They're going to all have a certain job title. They're all going to be a certain industry, and they're all going to be in your second degree network and certain locations. So you can make it really personalized and still send them all the same thing. Does that make sense? I do need to move on to trend number 7. Let me see if there's any other questions here which we need to storm. So it's a cool strategy to comment on your competitors' posts. Yeah, it's so good. Absolutely. Yeah. It is a strategy, man. It is a strategy. In the old days, like the guys that were worst at this were mortgage brokers. They used to literally go onto other mortgage brokers' LinkedIn profiles, get all of their connections, and just start approaching them. I'm not suggesting do that, but like think about that. Like think about like the people that you're connecting with. If you get an invitation to connect from somebody, this is the question. Because people will look at it and go, oh, yeah, he looks, but he's not in my target market. Doesn't matter. If he's likely to be connected or she's likely to be connected with people in your target market, connect with them. Does that make sense? You want to increase the relevance of your second degree network. Okay, we have to talk about authenticity. We've gone for an hour. I don't even know if I'm going to get through all these trends. I'm going to do my best, okay? Authenticity is very important, okay? I've talked a lot about this. I'm not going to dwell on it for a long time, okay? But people can sense when you're not being authentic, okay? And you have to draw on real life experiences, and that sometimes that means people aren't going to like you. You have to be vulnerable, all right? And I'm just going to say to you, lean into it. If the content's rubbish, no one will see it, okay? So don't worry about what other people think, or you will be left behind. I'll leave it there, okay? So trend number 8, influencers. The influencer model is changing. LinkedIn is actually becoming a way bigger deal in the influencer marketing place. So what does that mean? Well, you don't need 1 million LinkedIn followers to be valuable, right? The most effective influencers, guess how many followers they have? Most of them have 1,000 to 10,000 followers. Those are the most effective. Why? Because of what I was saying before, is they have a better relationship with those 1,000 people than somebody who has 1 million followers. Common sense. So they're more influential. Okay. So think about that. How can you use, you don't have to be paying them necessarily, but you want people that are your customers to be doing user-generated content, to be shared. I want all of you guys to go away tonight and post about Monday Night Live. That's like one of my goals. I want to deliver so much value that I wake up tomorrow and there's like 10 posts about Monday Night Live. That's fantastic, right? I will even like look at them and bring the best ones on screen next week. And we do this a lot. If I remember to remind people to do it, we get some great exposure, but I also get to give some exposure to them, and I get to give them some feedback on their posts, and they're adding value to their network. So it's a win-win, right? But you guys got to be thinking about this in your business as well, right? People are scrolling. They're busy. They're overloaded with information. It's way more valuable for them to see a post about you from a third party or from an existing customer than it is from you, because trust, right? People are more likely to trust a third party. It's huge. When people are searching online for providers, the biggest thing that they're looking at, they're looking for reviews, right? They're looking for third-party endorsements, social proof. If you go to your LinkedIn profile, is there social proof all through it? You've got to have those recommendations, those endorsements. You've got to have those testimonial videos. If you don't have them there, then you're just relying on what you say. And the problem with that is everyone's saying the same thing. Like, I'm committed to delivering the best service in my industry. all of the people that aren't committed to that say the same thing, right? So prove it. Like what are my customers saying? And if you're starting out in business, there's still ways that you can use social proof, right? You just have to be creative, and testimonials don't have to be from customers. If you don't have any customers yet, think about who can speak to your credibility, right? To your commitment, to your industry knowledge, and get them to comment on that. You must make sure the testimonial is authentic. But if they say, hey, I mean, Nathaniel, he always does what he says he's going to do. And so I recommend doing business with him. That's actually an awesome testimonial. They don't have to have done business with me to say that if they've experienced, dealing with me in other areas. Okay, so where most people fail with marketing is they don't clean their data, right? They don't train their team, and they try to do too much at once. Okay, you don't want to go shallow and broad. You want to go deep. Okay, that's really important. So make sure that you've got the relevant data that you need and you've got the right people. Trend number 10. This is a little bit far off, so I won't dwell on this. Is B2B commerce. I've talked about this a little bit with Facebook and Instagram. Like social commerce in the US was forecast to reach, I think it was 144 billion. Is that right? 144 billion? Someone might have to correct me, but in 2027, right? So it's up from 67 billion in 2023. So it's doubled. Like there's some guys that have got some awesome businesses and founders in this space. Like if you get the opportunity to invest in anything to do with social commerce, I highly recommend it. I wish I got involved earlier in a business like that. So does that mean that B2B buyers are buying enterprise software like, a hoodie on a shopping app? Not yet. They might do though, because buyer behavior is increasingly social, increasingly public, like people are, using the blockchain, they're verifying who's a good provider. You don't like the fact that you can buy like a $10,000 product, like a $10,000 mountain bike that you've never seen on the internet, and you feel totally comfortable just putting your credit card in and rock it up at your door. Do you know how foreign that concept was 15 years ago? No one would ever do that. The amount of trust that people have in the social proof online is huge. This will move to $1 million transactions on LinkedIn. People will do $1 million transactions without speaking or meeting with people, because that's how good the social commerce and how reliable and how much trust people will have in it. So think about that for your business, right? You've got to build your network now. If you do nothing else, just think about if your network's going to be so important in 10 years' time. You have to start building it now. It's going to be really valuable, okay? Treat LinkedIn as a search engine. It's becoming a search engine just like Google, okay? You see Google's changing a lot, isn't it, to AI, okay? So as social becomes more AI and search engines become all AI, you'll be able to search on LinkedIn and expect to find whatever you're searching for in the search results. And LinkedIn's one of the biggest resources that Google uses to find information. So you want to be posting content that's relevant for Google as well. The big hack, like when people are searching for keywords, a lot of people, a lot of businesses don't optimize images. Every time you post on LinkedIn an image, go into before you press post, there's a, what's it called? You can put in a description of the image, right? There's a little icon there. I think it's called the alt tag. And then you can put in a description, and it's there so that people who, for whatever reason, the image doesn't load for them or what have you, is a description of what it is. So it says, Nathaniel's sitting on his laptop. I don't know what the description would be. But anyway, that's what it's designed for. Now, if you put Nathaniel's sitting in his laptop, Nathaniel runs a company called Bibby Media Group. They're a LinkedIn marketing agency in Perth, but they deal with clients Melbourne and Sydney and worldwide. They also do LinkedIn training and have won several awards when it comes to LinkedIn marketing. And that's your description of your image. All of a sudden, people who are searching for LinkedIn training in Sydney, LinkedIn marketing in Perth, my image will show up in the search results. In the image section. Not only that, it's feeding their AI information. So that whatever the content of my post will be training the AI on information about it. So you need to go on to Gemini, which is Google, and ChatGPT, and say, tell me what you know about Storm Dawson. Tell me what you know about, because you need to make sure that they're getting the right information. Very quick way that you could do that is just by using alt tag. You can go back to posts you've already done on LinkedIn and do this. I think you can add them after the fact. Yeah, you can. I'm pretty sure you can do that. That's a hack that a lot of people don't know. Like if you search for your name, you should have a lot of pictures showing up in the search results and the images. If you don't, just do that little hack that I just mentioned. Hey, this is some, I should get giving away all my secrets because you stuck around for an hour. I've kept you on here far too long, guys. I'm going to do one more secret and then we're going to wrap it up, okay? I hope you got value today. Let me know in the comments, like if you found this useful, because I think sales is the lifeblood of every business. I think this is a really important area. You must be generating return on investment. It has to be an ecosystem. The final trend I want to mention is video. Don't look at the number of views video gets when you're assessing whether that's the best content to use. The goal is to build better relationships with people. You're going to be able to do that better through video, okay? Most professionals are still not using it consistently, which means it's a real opportunity to stand out. That's how you be authentic, okay? You don't need fancy production. Your phone camera is a fantastic camera. That's what it's designed for, okay? No background noise, quiet room, have the light just, coming from behind the camera, so just put the camera up to the window if you like. Make sure the audio is good, which it will be if there's no background noise on your phone. Doesn't matter if it's a bit rough around the edges. Like I always get the latest Samsung, right? Because Samsung have the best camera, and well, you don't even have to have the latest one. You just want a new one, right? Like so they don't have to be the best. Like this particular camera is not even it's not the best, but it's like it's new, right? So the camera's it's only got 3 cameras instead of 7. Like how many bloody cameras do you need? But because it's new for me, like it's relatively a new device, like the camera's good quality. What happens is after a couple of years, they wear out. So think about your phone as more like a camera. Like you need to make sure that it's got good quality. If it doesn't take good quality photos, invest in one that does. Because it's important for social media, okay? Don't just think of it as a device to calling people. It's a camera. And it's a way better camera than most of the ones that are a lot bigger and bulkier, okay? You don't need fancy production, okay? So make sure that you're doing videos, because you actually get good at videos by practicing, okay? You got to speak directly to the camera, make eye contact, explain something that you know about. Show that you're an expert, something in your area of expertise. The only way that people are going to buy from you over the next person is because of your expertise. They don't care about price. They want expertise. Expertise means they'll pay more. People will actually assume you have more expertise if you're more expensive. 60 seconds, teach them something, add some value, give them a slice. Like when I went to Queenstown in New Zealand and I didn't know where to go, but I was craving a pizza, and there it was. There's pizza restaurants everywhere, and there's this one dude who's standing out the front in the snow, and he's got samples with little toothpicks, right, of the pizza. So I go up and try some, and I thought, that's amazing. If the free little samples at the front are that good, imagine what the real thing's going to be like. We're going in here to have dinner. This is how you need to be thinking about your content. You have to be thinking about your content like the little slice of pizza with a toothpick in the top, okay? That's how you gain a competitive edge. That's how you make more sales on social media. That's how you build trust. People see a real human, right? You build a little bit of a relationship and you give them a taste. You give them some value. Just doing this consistently puts you ahead of everyone on LinkedIn, okay? All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for being here. I would love it if you could share the biggest takeaways that you had from tonight's episode, not only in the chat, but also go and do a post about Monday Night Live. Use the hashtag, tag me in it. I will check it out, engage on it, and the best posts, I'll bring them up next week. I'm going to be back here next week. I can't remember exactly what the topic is. I think it might be personal branding, but if you go to my LinkedIn profile, scroll down to events, and you'll be able to see the next 2 or 3 weeks of Monday Night Lives coming up. Every Monday Night Live, 6 p.m. Perth time, we're here delivering value. And remember, this knowledge, all this information is great, but unless you put it into action, it's absolutely useless. And it means you and I both wasted our time tonight. So I want you to go out there and execute, my friends. And thanks for being here. All right. Stay legendary, and I'll see you next week. Good night.